So look at that. Totally not unprepared. No, actually, just confirmed that we got the audio. I just realized that it was very important for us to have the monitoring. So welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. And welcome back to the Sound Alchemy podcast, the place where we discuss everything that pertains or is related to the music business as professional musicians ourselves. So, what's the business for today, Theo?
So, first and foremost, hello girls and boys, how's it going? I'm very glad to be back. Great to have you here as well. And today we're going to be talking about, you mentioned what's the business here today. And actually, business should be a very important part of this conversation as well.
I was about to make a mega joke, but it could get us in trouble.
Okay, so let's leave it for later. But we're going to be talking about all of those skills or all of those assets that goes beyond music that a musician probably should have if he wants to have a career in music.
Would you use probably, or they ought to have?
They ought to, more than likely, yes.
Yeah, so what would your first pick? First and foremost, did you ever see yourself doing YouTube?
I actually hadn't. Is that correct?
Yeah,
it is
you
indeed.
never.
Yes, doing the YouTube thing was not amongst my list of visions for the future when I was a kid, but I think that's an integral part of how it goes nowadays.
The
basically.
core
Yes.
of the business is now run through YouTube.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened?
It happened because the world changed quite a lot when it comes to how people are found. I'd say there's kind of that romanticized idea of the musician that goes on stage and is found by their audience and is
Is discovered by that headhunter that will
Exactly.
turn them into Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still a possibility in today's world?
I think it stopped being a possibility in the early 90s. No, for real.
Yeah.
For real, I think the last of those acts that actually happened to have the luck to be discovered were the grunge bands from Seattle. Guns N' Roses being another one of those, and from there onwards, I think most of them were either connected beforehand or simply products designed by a focus group.
Mm-hmm.
Being very honest, with the merit that they deserve. You pick your poison and you decide the amount of merit. I'm not going to tell you what do I think about them. I'm simply saying I'm giving my opinion and answer to that very question.
Yeah.
Because I consider that the whole thing of being discovered and the whole romanticization, as you put it, of raw talent being enough for you to be discovered and become a successful musician was dead since decades ago. And it's not it's not due to the lack of talent. It's not something that should be taken personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And reality is that this is named the music business for a reason. There has to be some form of business or some form of entrepreneurship involved in any musical act. Since the beginning it has to be like that. And I think that's been one of the problems of many musicians in this era.
Yeah, agreed. The whole thing with business is that it's not only about the music, because this that we're talking about here is actually something that pertains every single area of expertise. You need to be able to market your services, your products, or whatever it is. You need to get it to the client, to the customer, regardless of how good what you have to offer is.
That's up for the client to decide.
Yeah, no, but if you can get it to the client, or the client won't be able to find it or get to know about it, what's the point of having the best product?
Exactly. That's what is known in the marketing lingo as a lead.
Mm-hmm.
And you are looking for those. You need people who would likely, chances are that they might like what you have to offer to see you, to discover you. If you're not found, they will never have the chance to decide if they want to spend money on you or not. And the one who loses is you, not them.
Yeah.
So this is what brings us into the whole point of this conversation. What kind of skills do you think a musician have to have in this very moment, 2025, the year of the Lord?
Look, we already mentioned it passingly, but I think it does deserve quite a lot of emphasis. Sales.
Yes, marketing.
Yeah, I think marketing is broad, and marketing is something.
Yeah, okay, go.
No, I think marketing is definitely one of the skills that any person should have. Really, it's not.
Yeah, it's not for musicians.
But I think going a little bit nicher, because I think marketing is wider in scope.
Yeah.
I think sales is something that every person as well, again, should be able to at least know their way around making a sale.
Yes.
Because making a sale is not necessarily, okay, here's the product and give me the money.
Yeah.
No, a sale is basically you can sell an idea, you can sell a service, you can sell a product.
Yes.
But the idea is that you will
You
be
can
able
sell
to.
your body.
You can sell your body.
Like Roxanne. To the night. Okay.
No, but look, the idea of having the sales skill is basically being able to make someone think that it's a good idea to buy, and buy doesn't necessarily need to be a purchase.
No.
What you're offering.
It's invest.
Yes.
Because this is the way I see money, and I hope it makes sense for any of you. Money, how do you acquire money? What is it money? Is a token that represents your capability for producing a good, or the time you could spend producing something of value. That value is based on what you have to offer and how much it's being, or the perceived value by the ones who might be interested on investing on whatever you have to offer, right? Since money represents time and the life and blood of any individual, you have to first understand that what you are asking for is not money, is their life and blood, is their time, is their effort, is the sweat that they have to sweat out of their forehead while working. What makes you believe that you deserve their money? That's the first thing that has to be in your head.
Yeah.
Being humble enough to understand that I'm asking for way too much.
Yeah.
It's not money. Money is the token. You're asking for the deep connection that money has with us. So, understanding that principle, learning what you're saying, which is the inners of human interaction,
Yeah.
and actually making a proposition, because that's what you do when you're selling stuff. You're making a case for what you have to offer,
Yeah.
and that case has to be solid enough for somebody to consider investing on it. And mark my words, see how much emphasis I'm putting on the word investing. They're not buying.
Yeah.
They are putting something in exchange of something else,
Yeah.
and they are investing on you. Because if you do something good, they would be likely to spend money on you in the hopes of you producing the next one.
Yeah.
That's why they are investing in you. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And the thing is that this can take many forms. That's why this is, I would consider sales a fundamental skill.
Yes.
Because it's not something niche that only the sales professionals need to know.
No.
It's something that, let's say you're fresh out of school, and you're beginning to
realize
develop
that
some interests
Yeah.
that weren't there before,
Yeah.
and now you want to make your move, right?
Yeah.
How do you make your move? You're trying to convince the girl.
Yeah.
If you didn't get the
Yeah.
obvious analogy,
Yeah, he was talking about the old in and out.
yeah, that you are worth her time,
Investment.
her investment.
Yeah.
And of course, this is just one example that's something that everybody can
No, but
relate.
it's a good example.
But
It's a good
it comes from way before that as well. Because if you want to, let's say you want to go out to meet your friends before you have even further interests.
Do you have friends?
Well, to have friends.
Let's start from there.
Yeah.
Do you even have friends? Because if you don't, you have nobody who would like to invest time on you.
Exactly. So again, I don't think this is something niche. I don't
No.
think this is something that is for the music profession. No, I think this goes way beyond that. Way beyond that. It's quite fundamental for human interaction.
I agree.
Now bringing it more to the musical industry, the musical career setting. How do you think the ability of sales is manifested in this context?
It's clearly not manifested.
Mm.
I think the vast majority of people who are into music and aspiring, I'm not going to even say pursuing, aspiring to pursue a career in music, have no clue of what we're discussing right now.
Mm.
And I'm not considering myself a guru in this area, okay? But I've been around, and I ran several businesses. A good chunk of them have failed, as everybody should expect when venturing into becoming a capitalist. It's normal. You have to fail to learn. And I don't have to explain to you the latest. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I'm
Yeah.
going to put it that way. But it is thanks to those experiences that you make sure that you don't fall from this for the same mistakes later on. And if you analyze this from the perspective of music, the first mistake that most of us happen to fall for is thinking that we are producing something that is unique. We think that we are producing music that will immediately resonate with the audience. If only they hear it, that's the only thing we need. That's the first problem.
Tiny detail.
What do you think?
Look, I think that there's a very core point to this issue that we're talking about. Is not paying enough attention on how whatever it is that you have to offer, now talking music,
Yes.
is gonna reach its intended audience. That's more than, I'd say, that's not even half of the equation. That's like 80% of the equation, because you can actually become successful with a subpar product if you manage to get it around.
Yeah.
Way more successful than you would be having the best product in the world.
Yeah.
You can be the Mozart of our generation.
Yes.
If nobody hears you,
There's no point.
yeah.
And we have had this discussion before. This is not a business based on merit. And I gotta be the one to burst your bubble, but music alone is not what makes or break any musician you see. All of those acts that you see as your heroes, they know the game. It's not just the music. And some of them are actually great in the sense of being great musicians as well.
Yeah.
So they not only have earned the right to earn your money, but also they have earned their place in the pantheon of music rock and music godhood. But there are very rare examples of this, being very frank. For example, I don't know if you remember some issue that we had with a particular little-known band known as Pink Floyd that flagged the video that you posted a few days ago.
Yeah.
It was a video that was performing quite well, and all of a sudden, bam! It was blocked, and with no chances for it to be redeemed. Why? Because for whatever reason, the greedy people behind the Pink Floyd Corporation decided that using some of their footage of one of their old videos as a backdrop for an essay which didn't involve or in any shape or form music from the freaking video was striking. It was serving of a copyright strike. Look at that.
A little bit disheartening, being quite honest.
Why?
I should have known, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I still hold some hope. But
That's a mistake number 2.
yeah, we'll get you that. No, but the thing is, more than likely, the guys from Pink Floyd, the ones that you know, we know, everybody knows, they had nothing to do with this.
Of course not, these lawyers.
But do you think that their disengagement with this part of the business doesn't play a role with the fact that this happens without them knowing?
It does. It's exactly what I'm trying to say. This is not about talent. This is about knowing the right people and pulling. When it comes to the mainstream, okay? Well, I'm gonna take you somewhere else later. But the mainstream, what you consider to be the big acts, I'm gonna be referring to, I don't know, picking an example, Dua Lipa. Or one of those super uber popular acts or that tiny girl, Sabrina Carpenter, that is now being shoved down our throats everywhere.
Is the new thing.
Totally not being astroturfed into oblivion.
Yeah.
Not being bombarded myself on my personal YouTube feed with videos of her on shorts, explaining to me how awesome she is. What the hell? Well, whatever. That's exactly the point. This is smoke and mirrors. Everything you consider to be, and this is not the cranky old man yelling at a cloud. It's being pragmatic. You want to make it in this business, there is a way to do it. But it's not the path that they told you when you were a kid. It's a different path and it's a different road. And it's exactly how we started this conversation. Is doing this. Making yourself visible, no matter the cost, for as long as it's morally correct. No, I gotta make that disclaimer.
Important.
Very important. Because this is not about having good music, it's about being known. It's about being seen. And nowadays, we no longer have to be part of the establishment to be seen. Right now, we're doing it, and I don't care, because we know that we don't have the reach right now. And this channel has been going through all sorts of shenanigans that we know exactly what's going on. How to fix it is what we're trying to figure out, but we know it can be fixed. Because we're already starting something else that is already kicking major ass.
Yeah, it's already showing.
Without putting the effort, but why? After the failure and the mistakes that we committed on this one. But the point is that you can actually create your own path, and that's the whole point of this conversation from this onward.
Yes, very much true. And the thing is, for as much as we generalize to a degree of this being something that pertains every single field, I do think that it hits not only music, but I think the artistic expressions in general in a different way, because they are fields that are easier to romanticize. And I think the whole thing that happens with music, and again, that idea of being found and whatever, I think the musician, by nature, because he considers himself an artist, and I think we can also bring this into conversation, the whole idea of being an artist, and you know what I mean by the emphasis. I think it's kind of deterrent to the business side, and to the very important business side of the music business.
I read.
Because I think the artists, generally speaking, of course, the hashtag not all, they have this idea that everything pertaining business
It's for the suits.
it's for the suits. Is actually opposed, is a counterpoint to artistic expression.
That's why you got disheartened when that Pink Floyd thing happened. Because you would never expect David Gilmour being an ass on you.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anything that could harm his music or his craft or his career.
Yeah.
But the suits don't care. And the fact that the suits are the ones who are taking care of his business shows you how much he cares about you as well. Just saying.
Well.
And sorry, but it's not sorry, but not sorry. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of brutal. Yeah, it is. And cunning as well. So Warhammer reference. Yeah, or Warhammer. But what would be the first one? Media understanding, social media understanding. I would
Yes.
pick that one as the first one.
Yeah, definitely, because marketing, you mentioned marketing before.
Yeah.
Now I think we can get a little bit deeper into it.
Pragmatism.
Yes, marketing is an important part of everything. Now, in music, how does marketing shows its face nowadays? Is this.
Yes.
Because where before it was being on the radio, maybe some talk shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it still was more part of the equation nowadays, but honestly, this is, let's put it at 95% of what comprises marketing for music nowadays.
And just you do some research around, and you'll find that those establishment, so-called mainstream voices, the amount of views they get on their YouTube channels, official YouTube channels that are being astroturfed by the algorithm, by the way, can't hold a candle compared to guys making videos in their kitchen on a laptop.
Yeah.
Being frank, and that's actually factual. You don't have to trust me in this one, bro. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And why? Because those guys are so disconnected from what we're doing right now, from what should be done right now, and especially on how communication takes place nowadays. Because it's not just putting your face on a billboard and waiting for the results to happen.
Yeah.
Now you have to establish a way for communication to take place between you, the artist, the producer of goods,
Yeah.
with the people who is willing to spend money on you.
Yeah.
Because there has to be some form of trust in between both parts. I don't know if that makes sense. What do you think?
No, it does make sense. But now I ask you: do you think the format that you have nowadays, this pursuit for connection, as you put it, in between the artist and their potential audience, do you think it's something positive?
I think it's the result of the way that we are interacting with each other now. Don't know if it's positive, good, bad. I don't know. I'm the man with gun. That was an Evil reference. But badass movie. But the thing is that people nowadays communicate with each other through the phones, and the phones is just the medium, because it's actually the internet.
Yeah.
So if the internet is the way that people can talk to each other, can share stuff with each other, that means that they can share your music. They can share what you have to offer, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, why aren't you there? Why would you be spending money on a freaking talk show that only wine moms watch in the morning? That would be stupid, being frank.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this one, another thing that we have to add to this whole set of skills. You need to understand that you have to invest to win.
Yeah.
There is no such a thing as natural and organic growth. You can organically grow to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Online, but that applies to everything. Because word of mouth, the blue ocean strategy when it comes to marketing, that stands for those of you who don't know. Blue ocean strategy means that you create something that its marketing efforts heavily rely on the spread of the word of mouth. So if you develop that's based on developing a very good relationship between the product and the audience, the first customers of it. And mark my words, customer, not consumer, very different, because you treat them with respect. So the customer, the first guys who buy it, will be the ones that will get such a great experience with your offering that they will talk wonders about it to somebody else. And since those people around the first guy, the first customer, have the first customer in such a high regard, they will trust him, and they will buy your product as well.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
One example, do you remember the Nintendo Wii? It was the whole strategy behind it. They spent millions of dollars going around showing the concept to everybody, and it became a hot freaking success.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest in recent marketing history. Why? Because they developed such a great idea, and they developed such a great, take it for what it was, okay? PC Master Race. But they developed such a great marketing campaign based on word of mouth, because I don't know if you remember those ads. They even had old people playing the Wii games.
Yeah, I do remember.
And that was a huge success. How many of them bought another game other than Wii Sports? Who knows? Who cares? It was success. So,
and I have a question to make regarding this, because
that applies to music.
Yeah, but outside of that, you mentioned Nintendo as an example for this phenomenon.
Yes.
Do you think it's possible to replicate that phenomenon of organic propagation?
Yes.
Coming from scratch?
No, it wasn't even organic for them. They spent millions. I said they spent millions on marketing campaigns. They organized. They had cars brand with the Wii branding and stuff.
Yeah.
Doing demonstrations around different cities in different parts of the world, showing the product. They spent millions of dollars on spots on TV, because this was in 2006, man. No internet such as the one that we are using right now was a thing. It was still in development. YouTube was already there, but it was super cake, man. So they had, and you can watch those interactions on several of the morning shows in America. That was the success, because they understood their market. They understood the timing on which the product could be seen by them. Pow.
Yeah.
They drop it there, and they found a way to communicate. Once again, that magic word coming back, to communicate the idea and to present the whole concept in less than 10 seconds.
And I think one thing that is an accomplishment on this field is that they, since after the first push, it felt like it was being propagated by simply word of mouth.
Yes.
Is the illusion of it being organic, because it creates the idea that just simply people with good experience talking about it as if it weren't manufactured.
Exactly. It's genius.
Yeah, it is.
It's genius.
Yeah.
The thing is that for you to develop such a strategy, you truly need to have the big bucks behind it. And being honest, the vast majority of us don't have access to DuckTales money. So what to do then? Blue Ocean is not necessarily a realistic approach. So the only way to do it is spending your money on advertisement online, such as ads on YouTube, ads on Instagram, so on and so forth. We are not running those campaigns because, hey, if you know so much, why aren't you doing it? Because I'm waiting. Strategizing. There is a reason. Everything has to be done with care. Show by example. Yes, I'm showing right now, and I don't have to explain to you why. This is my strategy. But there is a reason why we're sitting on it. There is a very good reason for it. But taking us to the next point, pragmatism.
Okay, when it comes to the musician.
Yes. First, how could you develop the Blue Ocean strategy as a musician?
I
Live
think
shows. It's live shows.
Yeah. Because in the end, you create a live experience is something that can create that connection that you're talking about to such a degree that actually the dissipation that comes out of it can be very powerful.
Yes.
If you can be in front of people.
And that's a problem. That's a freaking problem. Because let's say that you develop a Blue Ocean strategy, right? Based on your live performances. Okay, good. Do you have, how many live performances in a row do you got already scheduled? Because you need consistency for this to work. Secondly, let's say that you organize the first 5. We'll have no president. So you have to bring people in somehow, right?
Yeah.
What will be your? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You gotta attract them. You gotta do the money pot stuff, the honeypot stuff. So that means throwing bucks at it, and then once you get those 5 sets, those 5 shows in order, and they are successful. The next 6, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, you will see an increment in volume of new audiences, but that doesn't mean you will have to spend less on the promotion. That means that you are gonna have to spend. You will be able to spend a little bit more because now you can expand even further. Yeah. Because every effort that you do, every money that you throw, every dollar you spend on it, will be multiplied by a set amount of new customers, potential customers. Because again, it's potential. Making sure that one of them. That somebody attends one of your concerts doesn't mean that you got a client. Yeah. You don't get a fan. You got a seat. Yeah. You sold a seat on a concert. Yeah. And what you need to continue a career is what? constant influx, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, there's another which is going to be the aspect, the skill that I'm going to bring to the table right now,
Go.
which is identifying the correct target audience.
The camera is funky.
It's funky, it is indeed. So let me go back to it.
Yeah, you were saying. Yeah, that's it. Good.
That's now it's correct.
That's it.
Very good. So being able to identify your target audience and reach that target audience specifically.
Agreed.
Because what's the point of you? Let's say you make a gigantic marketing campaign for your concert.
Yes.
And you manage to put there 1,000 people.
Yes.
Through the sheer might of marketing.
Yeah.
Those 1,000 people, they are fans of hip hop, and you play prog rock. What was accomplished there?
Yeah.
Just a huge hole in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
That has a name, and if I recall correctly, that's conversion. That's your conversion rate. If you don't have if you bring the wrong audience to the wrong and expose them to the wrong product, you won't have any form of conversion. You will have some because there has to be anomalies. You're gonna comment. Yes. There has to be some anomalies to any form of a group. The thing is that those anomalies, those are accidents. Those are statistical accidents. You cannot live out of those.
Yes, and actually relating to this, you got Joss here. Hey Joss, how's it going?
Good to hear you.
He's mentioning too many pay-to-play scams out there. Many musicians fall for it.
Yeah, good point.
It's very, very true. And now going outside of the realm of musicians, now with the whole thing with social media, the pay-to-be thing does exist. It is a part of how this game is played, but it done randomly or done without the knowledge of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just spending your money to no avail.
Agreed.
So the whole pay-to-play thing, it has always been a thing. You always paid your way in.
It has a name, it's payola.
Payola. It has always been the case. But even payola is a skill to have.
It is. You gotta learn because,
Yeah.
being frank, if let's say that you are running a social media business, okay? Why would you do it? Do you truly do it for people to have a way to communicate with each other? Of course not. You're doing it out of profit. Why? It's not because you're evil. So before you begin bringing your torches, you freaking Marxist, you do it because you need to feed your family. Simply put, you deserve the right to have nice things as well. If you're providing something of value, you should be rewarded for it. As simple as that. Okay. So the business model is designed around some form of profitability for the guy who is producing the social media outlet.
Yeah.
Why do you think your stuff is going to be seen for free? But he's making a good point. If you don't have a strategy, you are just going to throw money at the wall expecting for something to change. And the only thing that's going to change is your wallet. It's going to slim. It's going to go slimmer.
Yeah, because there's a key word here that we to point out. Pay-to-play scams. And yes, there are plenty of pay-to-play scams out there. Because we don't have necessarily to go into the rabbit hole of bot farms and stuff like that, which relate to that internet theory, which is a topic on its own.
It will be fun.
Yes, it's a topic on its own, but a good chunk of the internet now is populated by non-human entities.
Yes.
And how much the value of a view and the value of a like has gone down dramatically over the course of the years. Of course, they still represent something. But I'd say now we're talking about engagement being the true coin in this environment because it's real people interacting with real content.
I agree. That's why these social media, for example, YouTube and Instagram, and now X are putting so much emphasis on live shows because live shows are the rare examples on which they can be almost certain that there are actually humans watching and interacting. And yeah, just to mind that. And another thing regarding the whole pay to win, I got an anecdote to share. A friend of mine, she was telling me that she was super proud because she released a song on Spotify. She's not a musician, by the way. Okay, so she wrote it for her husband, and she was super happy because look at this. Like, great, you paid $25 for the whole year, right? Of course not. How much did you pay? She didn't tell me, but I can assume that she paid big bucks because she told me It's because I've been in touch with this agency. Like, those are the scams that Josh are referring to.
Yeah.
Those sons of a horse are so.
PG.
I'm trying to keep it a PG. Of course, they're a horse. Those individuals are preying on the high hopes and also goodwill of musicians or people who are releasing music, because once nowadays everybody can actually release music. Proof, she did. And she's on the same platform, on the same outlet, under the same circumstances as a big ass act as Metallica, such as Metallica. So there are people preying on those normies, because for lack of a better term, they are not dumb, they simply don't have enough information. And these scumbags are taking advantage of those, and those are huge. Those are everywhere.
Yeah. And on that matter, it takes us back to the fundamental of this conversation. The whole thing about developing, let's call it peripheral skills,
Yes.
to that of simply being a musician. It may not be because you're gonna be the acting producer, the acting marketer, the acting whatever in your own venture. But if at least you're versed enough to spot the scams, to spot the traps.
You avoid the traps.
You avoid the traps. So
Agreed.
I think, regardless, let's say you are surrounded by a good team, or you know that you could, let's say you have money.
Yes.
You could outsource.
Some of the stuff.
A lot of those skills could come from third-party service providers. But even then, I would still recommend get into it a little bit. Dive a little bit into the realm of music production. Dive a little bit into the realm of business.
Yes.
Just so you know what you're getting yourself into. You'll be able to spot the issues. You're going to be able to spot the traps. And believe me and believe him, there are many around.
And look, look, I want to take this conversation to something a bit more practical now, because I think we have covered the metaphysics of what the mentality.
Yes.
Because we truly wanted to emphasize as much as we could on the actual metaphysics, on the way to think and approach to these from an intellectual perspective.
Yep.
Because with this in mind, the first skill that I will recommend any single one of you watching is understanding how to operate a camera. 100%.
Yeah.
Because it is through visual mediums the way we actually communicate nowadays. It's not spoken word. It's not audio. It's video. Most of what we consume is video based.
Yeah.
Audio comes second. So first, learn how to shoot video and take okay photos. And you can see how our understanding of the whole video making process has taken place, because this channel, one of the many things that we committed while learning the craft of YouTube, was testing everything we could on it with no remorse. Of course, we are paying the price, but no problem. That's part of experience. But I truly recommend you to learn how to operate a camera, and you already own a very good camera with you. Well, you own it. It's your freaking phone.
Yeah.
The cell phones that we have access nowadays are insanely powerful, and the fact that they have cameras that are way too good to be true. They're capable of producing content that it's already on par of basically everything. That means one thing: when everybody has access to nuclear weapons, you need to develop something better, right? And the guys who develop the bigger nuclear weapons, you stop at atomic. No, now you need nuclear, and then you need the SAR. For those of you who are into warfare, you know what I'm trying to say. But the whole point is that when there would be a point on which everybody is competing with each other under the same circumstances, and that means that you will find yourself in a spot on which, if you want to be seen as somebody outside of the group, to stand out, you will have to improve a little bit more. But that's when investing in a new piece of gear comes in. But the first thing is learning the craft. That's what I'm trying to share with them.
Yeah, well, Josh just dropped another comment here. He's saying, I don't think being a musician is a profitable career move. You compete with musicians all over the world. You need to really stand out. And if you do stand out, then get a good contract lawyer. Okay, Josh, I agree to a degree.
Okay.
Because I think you're correct with the whole thing about the competition with because the market that now everybody's competing is the entire world, which is something that is kind of unique to some degree. I think many of the things that we talked about the state of the music industry here in this conversation, they were just kind of different manifestations of something that has always been the same.
Yes.
I don't think they change much over time. They just had different presentations. This aspect of how social media is global in scale and in instantaneity, if that's even a word.
Instantaneous, yeah.
Yeah, regardless. You can be seen by anybody at any point in the world at any given time. That really sets a very different type of competitivity in any given niche. But I do think that also creates a very important opportunity. So I don't see this as being all bad.
Yeah.
I do think that now that you can talk to anybody at any given portion of the world, you have the opportunity of, let's say you do something extremely obscure, you make progressive reggae inspired death metal.
Yeah,
Trance is extremely niche, I would have to say. There's probably, let's say, 200 people in the world that would like that kind of genre.
Yeah.
You have the means to reach those 200 people.
Now you do.
So it's not all bad. I do see where you're coming from, but I don't think it's all bad.
But look, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on what he said.
Yeah.
I'm going to dissect it in two portions. The first one, he's approaching to the whole thing of being a musician is no longer a profitable business decision. I agree. But wait. I agree in the sense of music alone is no longer capable of producing enough profit to justify a career based on it. Okay? But if you develop a brand around your music, you can sell even rocks. And that's where I think the industry should be moving, and it's moving already. Because how in the name of earth you got people making a living on YouTube by making videos on a laptop in their kitchens? And there are tons of examples of those. It's because they are creating a brand. If you look at those, if you take a look at the channels, you're gonna see that they have either Patreons, they sell merch, they have all forms of ways to support their efforts, other than the monetization coming out of YouTube. And YouTube alone, it's already another revenue stream. Because the thing is, approaching to this as somebody who's running a business. That's why I put so much emphasis on the metaphysics of this conversation. If you see this from the perspective of, okay, I'm gonna start off a business. The business is based on music. Okay. Does music make money? No. But it's a great way to promote the other stuff. Okay, because what you get out of music is goodwill. You develop fans. So if you see this as music as the product that will allow you to create this goodwill, the blue ocean thing, you can sell the peripherals. They are the ones that will bring the profit in. Very different, right? And the contract lawyer, 100%. Because as soon as you get something that holds value, everybody's going to try to get a part of it. For real. So one of my biggest recommendations as well, make friends with a good lawyer. Period. Actually, you don't know how handy they come. But yeah. So coming back to the pragmatic or the more terrestrial skills. Camera work, the first one. Second would be design. Learning aesthetics, visual aesthetics, but not in the sense of arts, but in the sense of communication.
Okay,
Because you can create something very artistic, very beautiful, but it's not a freaking thumbnail. And we have learned that the hard way. You can also take a look at different output of the channel. We have been testing all sorts of stuff. The vast majority of it has failed, but you have to look at it from a place of, well, let's see. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, no feelings hurt. You move the camera again.
I didn't, but
You did. But wherever. Yeah.
There he is.
Get me, right?
Yes, I get you. And with that in mind, I think that it's very important for us to understand that this is very dynamic. Is a way of operating that's ever changing, because let's say, once again, sticking to the social platforms, YouTube, to name one, YouTube is always changing.
It is.
The game is always changing. What worked for the early YouTubers doesn't necessarily work anymore. Maybe you can learn some stuff from it, but if you do exactly the same, you only have the exact same results. So you do have to be quite adaptable. That's kind of related to what you were saying about the whole trial and error kind of thing. And I think one skill that is a little bit metaphysical, but it is pragmatic as well, is understanding the frustrations of the process. Because you do have to be willing to fail quite a lot before you can get something right.
But that's the nature of running a businessman.
Yeah.
Every businessman in the world is going to tell you the same.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. It hurts. It's awful. Your back hurts. You become cranky. You understand why the government is a big problem. But you appreciate the freedom that comes with it. Yeah. And you defend freedom like there is no tomorrow because you know that it's something super valuable. So, the first rule is no feelings attached.
Yeah.
Everything you do could work or not. And if you put too much fifis involved in anything that you're doing,
mm-hmm.
something will fail. And if you see them as your babies, you're gonna be quite burnt.
Yeah.
So, recommendation is the approach to the mentality. You have to do everything in a over pragmatic way,
mm-hmm.
and expecting failure to be the result. Because instead, and this is not a loser mentality, okay? Since you don't know exactly what could come out of what you're doing, you should see it with the potential of being successful, rather than I think that's already enough, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at everything you do with from the perspective of it having the potential of breaking through,
mm-hmm.
if it fails, no worries, because it was part of the equation. It was part of the potentiality.
Yeah.
But if you look at it and it succeeds, you don't celebrate. Of course, let's do it again. Because that was the plan. And see how I might be doing it in a very caricature-like way, but you gotta look at it from that perspective. You gotta be uber pragmatic, because it's not coming from someone who it's working.
Yeah.
What you see is the latest venture of my endeavors, and you are seeing the labor of learning.
Yeah.
Because once you learn, it works.
Yeah.
But you gotta learn.
Yeah.
So you gotta be prepared to receive the process, man. So marketing, business-like mentality, photography, design.
Before we move away out of the pragmatism that you were talking about,
yes.
I think that pragmatism needs to be a driving force, not only for that side of that we've been talking about, the business side of things,
yes.
but even when it comes to the artistry, to the more artistic side of music making,
yes.
still a certain level of pragmatism is also going to be required. Because let's go back to the example of the reggae-inspired, the doom metal, whatever. Look, there are people who might enjoy it out there. Let's say we have like 200 people in the whole world who would like that. Can you make a career out of 200 people? More than likely, you will have a hard time.
But it's possible.
It's possible, but it makes your pursuit a lot harder.
Simply harder.
It's harder. Then, if you need to sustain yourself as a musician, because finding sustainability is priority number one.
Yep.
Because if you can't keep doing what you do, even if you're doing it by as a labor of passion, because of pragmatic circumstances, not having money, for instance, you can't do it, then you failed anyway, regardless of you trying to stick to your passion or sticking to your to the virtue of holding the art as something pure and saint, holy. So a certain degree of pragmatism, even on the artistic side of things, is important.
It's good. It's a healthy dosage.
Yeah,
I can see where you're going, because it will allow you to know to make the decision. Probably need to make something a little more commercial next time around.
Yeah.
So I can promote the good stuff.
Yeah.
You need to do the balancing act. You gotta promote.
Yeah, and it is a balancing act, because I'm not saying that you should sell out.
No.
Okay, please don't get it out of context. Don't misunderstand. I think you should do what you're passionate about. I think you should do what drives you.
Yes.
Because that's actually one of the main beauties of artistic expression.
Yeah, you once said passion attracts passion. You're
yes.
correct.
So, but again, if you are depending on making a living out of this, in order to be able to continue doing this, some equilibrium needs to be found. Okay, so Jaws is making another comment here. It's not enough just being a musician. You need to know business,
yes.
laws, trends, psychology, adaptability, etc.
100%.
Change is constant. 100%.
100%. Just you hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
That's exactly the point, because most musicians nowadays are failing, and I'm gonna say it as it is, because they're lazy. They think that music alone and their talent alone is what's needed. I already play as fast as John Petrucci, so that means that I'm ready to be discovered. Find me, Bob Rock. God's sake. That doesn't work like that, man.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays that it's him among millions upon millions that are better than freaking Petrucci. So no, make yourself visible, make yourself different, and also create a business around yourself, man. Because if you go in a world where you got Andrew Tate and all of those entrepreneurs, for lack of a term, it's because they got the spot they got because they did something right, which is selling. They are great business people. Regardless of what you might think about them, they know one thing, which is selling stuff and selling it well. So learn from those guys. And for example, there is a quote from a great guy. His name is Dan Pena. He's one of the, I think he's the first trillionaire in the world. He's loaded. And he once said that if you want to save the world and you want to truly make a difference, first make sure that you got a load box of money, because you will need it. So first get the money, then do your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the moral of the story. If you want to create an actual successful music career, make sure that you have wherever is the backup, the investment money, or what's the name of that I'm looking for? Damn it. Let's call it the war chest.
Mm-hmm.
That will allow you to survive all of the losses that will come at the beginning of the endeavor.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the businessman speaking. First, make sure that you have some form of backup for the inevitable hits that you're going to receive.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the drill. You're going to start off with no money, with no reach. That's always the fact. Even if you are Jaden Smith, one of those nepo babies, and see what happens to them.
Yeah.
Jaden is the name, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That kid is going nowhere. His last stunt was showing up at the Grammys with a freaking castle on his head. That was his trick.
Yeah.
Why do you think he did that? He's trying to attract attention because he has nothing going on for him. And once his dad is out of the equation, which is already happening, that kid is lost.
Yeah.
He's just gonna be spending the fortune of his father, and no more. But I'm gonna pick another example of a totally not a nepo baby, nepotism baby. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, Duncan Jones. He has directed several movies. One of them is Moon. I recommend you watching that movie. It's actually very well crafted space thriller. I'm gonna put it that. It's very good. And that was, I think, his debut as a director. Mm. He ended up then directed, for whatever reason, the freaking Warcraft movie. For what it is. But he's a good director. Do you know who his father is?
No.
David Bowie.
Ah, look at that.
But he's not Bowie. Mm. He's Duncan Jones. Mm. Why? And coming from the man himself, because I didn't want people to give me chances because of my dad. I want to create my own path. And look at that. Of course, it helps your father being David Bowie, yes, giving you some actual piece of advice, right? But there was a comment.
So yeah, Josh here saying, I remember back in the day, it was all about the music. Nowadays, it's all about what I can get out of it. On that one, Josh, I'm not sure I'm fully by your side, because I think it has always kind of been the case. I think it just kind of changed shapes. I don't think people, let's say the business people in the music industry, I don't think they ever cared about music.
No, but they had but look, I am partially with him. Because back in the day, and this is to terribly quote Frank Zappa, he said that back in the day, the people with the money, the guys who will support the acts, looking to make a profit, they based those decisions on whom to support, on the quality, and they look at the quality of the music. The better the music, the bigger the sales. So that was the way to go. That's why you see a huge output of great bands from that particular era, and that's why we all think of the business changing from being all about music to being all about profit. The thing is that, and according to Frank Zappa, then the next generation of kids, the guys from Harvard appeared, and they were the guys making the decision for the guys with the money.
Yeah.
And the guys with the money put the trust in them. Okay, kid, I'm not hip anymore. I don't know what's the shit today. Okay, I know because given the blah 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 blah. Okay, so do it. So they went for the highly marketable, not good but highly marketable stuff.
Yeah.
And little by little, that created this big snowball effect.
Yeah.
So that's why I am partially in agreement with Joss, because it was clearly back in the day a quality driven business.
No, even though,
Nowadays is quantity driven business.
look, even though I agree with everything you said, but
course you do.
but it wasn't the businessman that changed.
No, it was the they bring in the Harvard kids.
Yeah, but the thing is, let's say at that point in time, let's say on the 80s,
Yes.
plenty of great music on the mainstream. The 80s were awesome on that regard.
Yeah.
So the business decision were pushing great stuff.
Yep.
Okay, but I think it wasn't because necessarily the businessmen wanted to have good music out.
No.
They wanted to sell.
Yeah.
But the audience itself, the people, they had higher standards.
Agreed.
So I don't think it was an issue with the businessmen becoming greedier,
No,
for instance.
it was the culture degrading.
It's the culture degrading. I think
Agreed.
the problem is a little bit deeper even.
Because just think of all of the stories of patronages that allowed for several writers, musicians, sculptors from different eras of humanity, man. You wouldn't have your Michelangelos, your kids. None of those guys would be a thing without patronage. And the lords and the ladies from the era, they were looking around for somebody to invest in to produce music. That's why you got Mozart and all of those guys actually playing in the courts and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the business model up until the late 70s, man. Or probably a good chunk of the 80s, it was still like that. But somebody realized that, wait a second. How about if, my nose is getting in the way. How about if we do something different? Just saying. Say what, Hitler? So yeah, no, just you're correct, man. The thing is that I'm just trying to extrapolate more on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because there are many moving parts, and this is such a convoluted world, man. So in a nutshell, a good chunk of what we're discussing is not exclusive to the music business. It's actually to anybody who is daring to start a business by its own. I recommend developing Guts of Steel for you to truly be willing to go through the hassle that is starting off a business. Regardless of it being musical or not, everything I said here is coming from my entire, basically a good chunk of my life, because almost half of my life I've been doing this. And the first thing that I realized is that music alone, as you said, is not what will allow you to keep going. You need to find different sources, different revenue streams, and that's, I think, the core of any business. Because again, Dan Peña said, if I recall correctly, that in order for you to make your first $1 million, you gotta have at least 7 businesses. Only with 7. If you have less than 7, you won't make the first $1 million. You need to find different ways to outsource the one that will knock the ball out of the park. And without that, you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
And also, the whole mentality behind 7 businesses is that one of them will make money and another 2 will lose money. But then when the first one is losing money, the other 2 guys are now are the ones who are keeping you alive. And if you put all of your eggs in one basket, you're not gonna survive. That's a fact. So please develop skills. And nowadays, in this stupid world that we live in, remember that AI is now a thing. And AI is going to replace many of the jobs. It's already replacing, by the way, regarding many of the skills that we discussed.
Yeah.
For example, today I did some tests, and once again, the always forward-thinking mentality. Okay, I can't compete with AI. I have many issues and many gripes, morally speaking, with the whole concept, but it's a thing. If I don't use it, my enemies will. So I better become great at it, so I can outmatch my enemies. So I did some tests. and it paid off. So it's better to learn new stuff and be always on the vanguard. This thing is always evolving. Technology is always in constant change, and it is the responsibility of each of us to spend time learning it and controlling it, because the world of the future is going to be ruled by those who understand what to do with technology. Not and the ones who are going to be ruled are the ones who are letting technology control them. Make sense?
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, I think we're reaching the closing statements. I would just say, and that kind of works alongside what you were saying about the importance of the business mentality when it comes to this, is that for as much as we musicians who try to be attached to the whole artistic side of things, would like to see it otherwise, the good businessman is more likely to succeed in the music industry than the good musician.
I agree.
So, of course, foster your music, become good at it, get different influences, try to become the best musician you can. But please don't put aside or don't ignore the other side of this music business equation, because I think that's the doom and the pitfall that most of us fall into.
Yeah.
And that's why most musicians are frustrated, because they only stick to what they like when it comes to the music side of things. Like, okay, I'm gonna be a musician. That means I'm gonna be playing music all day.
I wanna rock.
Yeah, I wanna rock. Is there I wanna rock.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody wants to rock.
Of course.
But this is still a job. This is still a career, and it still requires quite a lot that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That you simply wouldn't like to do, but it's a part of the deal.
Yeah. Look, I'm working with this guy. He likes music. He loves. He considers himself. He's a musician.
Mm-hmm.
But he bought his first guitar. He hasn't bought a guitar pedal in his entire life. And he bought his first guitar device ever.
Mm-hmm.
After 15 years of doing it. Oh, it's because I have always been the singer. That means nothing, man. I'm not a keyboard player, but I know how to program synths. God damn it. I don't even do lighting. But I had to learn why. Because what will happen to us if the light guy doesn't show up for the show? Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just out of curiosity, man. So please foster your curiosity. Spend time learning. Even the boring stuff, programming stuff is boring as balls. But there's a reason why it's important to learn it. Something could go wrong, and there might be some day on which you could be the guy who saved the day. So, takes home.
Okay, so I think we covered quite a lot of ground this conversation. And if you enjoyed this conversation and you would like to be part of more conversations like this one, please consider subscribing to our channel, ringing the bell, the whole shebang, because like that you'll be notified when we go live and drop other videos. And if you want to support us even further, you can also listen to our music on Apple Music or Spotify, and follow us on social media such as Instagram and X.
Look at that. We finally found our use for it.
Look at that. It was totally on purpose. Because like that we can be in touch in a much more personal manner. And I think with that said, there's only one thing left.
Yes, of course. And actually, it's very, 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 very relevant to this conversation. Never let anybody tell you what to dream about. Make sure that you kick ass, and remember that we will see you. We'll see you